So the day that I am filming this, a few days ago, Angelina Jolie was here in Peru, and her visit caused a little bit of controversy, mainly because a lot of Peruvians thought that she was coming to this country to help them out, to talk to them, to see about the situation, you know. However, that was not the case. The case was that she came to Peru to talk with immigrants from Venezuela. Now, if you're not really familiar with the whole situation that is happening in Venezuela, it's not just Peru that is receiving immigrants from Venezuela. It's also happening in Brazil, in Colombia, in Ecuador. So, you know, the neighboring countries. I'm going to talk a little bit about that since I have lived here in Peru for several years, and I'm going to give you the background story on how it has been happening in Venezuela, and what is happening here in Peru, the public opinion, and at the end I'm going to talk about a little bit of my opinion, you know, trying to see both perspectives and everything. So what really happened in Venezuela, at the beginning, it was Hugo Chavez who was in power, and he had a lot of support from the public. I'm not going to make this a whole history video. Main points, right, from what I remember, from what I know of. After Hugo Chavez came in Nicolás Maduro. Now, at the beginning, a lot of people thought he was, you know, like kind of, you know, Hugo Chavez 2.0, I guess you can say. But that country concentrated so much in the oil industry, and they were actually a very powerful country economically, doing very well because of, you know, oil. And we all know the story with oil in a lot of countries. I'm not going to say any names, but we all know the story. We all know how that goes. So due to its oil reserve, it was doing pretty good economically, very strong economic country. However, that started to deteriorate because they just concentrated on that aspect instead of, you know, natural resources. Instead of focusing on different aspects or different resources, they just concentrated on oil. So that's when the inflation rate went up, which caused prices to also inflate, to also go up. And it was very, well, you know, if a lot of people cannot buy the basic needs, you know, basic necessities, then of course there's going to be a protest. So that's what they did, and they started protesting. And you know, after Hugo Chavez was Nicolás Maduro. So Maduro has been in power since 2013. It's 2018 right now. There has been a lot of backlash, a lot of public backlash, because of course they can't even buy basic necessities. They can't buy food. 1 bolivar, which is the Venezuelan currency, equals to 0.052 soles. So 1 bolivar is 0.052 soles. Soles, that is our currency in Peru. And if I were to look for how much is $1, for example, if I were to look for a dollar. So 1 American dollar, United States dollar, the currency in soles is 3.34 soles. So $1 equals 3.34 soles. Okay, and 1 bolivar cost 0.052 soles. So how much would a dollar be in bolivar? So 1 bolivar equals $0.016 US dollars. So 0.016, like less than a penny, would be 1 bolivar. So yeah, so like they can't pay for the basic necessities, for toilet paper, for food, for frijoles, for arroz, for, you know, basic necessities that they need in a month. You can't really. So a lot of people would starve to death. A lot of people died because of the protests, or like even like, you know, the government and police officers were, of course they were, you know, with the government, with the state, and a lot of people started protesting. A lot of people were killed because they went against the government. But of course, you know, thinking back, like, how couldn't you really, right? If the government isn't really, like, there were even cases that they held back a lot of necessities and they started selling them in the black market just to make extra income for themselves. Not for the people, not for the public, but for themselves. So That's kind of like a little bit of the base story, a little bit of the back story on Venezuela. There's a bunch more. I can list a lot of other YouTube videos and other articles that have the complete message, have the complete story about Venezuela. So the population barely had any access towards medicine and basic necessities and food and everything that I just mentioned. That's when a lot of people started to migrate to other countries, right? To their neighboring countries, to Peru, to Colombia, to Ecuador. So according to INE, the National Institute of Statistics and Information here in Peru, about 549,807 Venezuelans have entered Peru. And about 86.6% of them are based in Lima. The rest are like around in Arequipa and in other provinces here in Peru. So that is the number, 549,807 people from Venezuela have entered from January to August 2018. So Peru was only authorizing the entry of immigrant Venezuelans to come in with just their ID, right? And since there have been a lot of backlash and a lot of people coming in, like too many people coming in, a lot of people, Peruvians, started to, and some Venezuelans, started to criticize, and the border had to be controlled. So that's when authorities started to not just ask for an ID, but they started to ask for a passport. So not a lot of people have a passport, of course, like even, people from the States, not every single person from the States has a passport. They have easy access to it. If they want to travel, of course, you can get a passport. But in that situation where a country is in crisis and you can barely afford the basic necessities, to get a passport is even difficult, right? It's more difficult than any other country, which is not in crisis, right? So a lot of people crossed, the border illegally. Some people started to, look for a way that they could actually get a passport in order to cross legally and cross the border and be here in Peru. The public opinion here in Peru, based on what I have seen, I have lived here, I've talked to people, I've read the newspaper, I've read a bunch of articles, I've seen a few people put out YouTube videos, talking about this migrant crisis and everything, and like in their opinion, it's very, I can say that at the beginning, a lot of people were compassionate. They were very empathetic with what was going on, what was happening, because back in the 80s, Peruvians also had a lot of issues, right? We went through terrorism here in the 80s. I wasn't alive, but I'm just saying. We went through terrorism here in the 80s, and a lot of people went to the States, fled to the States in order to, find a better opportunity for their lives, in order to survive. A lot of people, because of the terrorism that was going on, Peruvians against Peruvians terrorism, not just other countries or other nationalities. Peruvians, national terrorism happening here. A lot of Peruvians went to parts of Europe, mainly Spain and the United States. So at the beginning, they were very compassionate, Peruvians. Then